holidays with your family. You're fully vaccinated. Are you seeing your family?
Right now, not yet. Not yet. I mean, I would look forward to it within a reasonable period of time as the rest of my family gets vaccinated. I mean, obviously, I'm with my wife every day.
Right.
She has gotten her first dose, will soon get her second dose. But my children, when they get vaccinated, obviously, I look forward to seeing them. And I'm sure that by that time, recommendations will come out to guide us in a more precise way.
You and the president have suggested that we'll approach normality toward the end of the year. What does normal mean? Do you think Americans will still be wearing masks, for example, in 2022?
You know, I think it is possible that that's the case. And again, it really depends on what you mean by normality. If
right.
Normality
that's what I want you to define
exactly the way it... Yeah. No, Dana, it's important because if normality means exactly the way things were before we had this happen to us, I mean, I can't predict that. I mean, obviously, I think we're going to have a significant degree of normality beyond what the terrible burden that all of us have been through over the last year. That as we get into the fall and the winter, by the end of the year, I agree with the president completely that we will be approaching a degree of normality. It may or may not be precisely the way it was in November of 2019, but it'll be much, much better than what we're doing right now.
Why do you think Americans might have to wear masks into 2022?
You know, because it depends on the level of dynamics of virus that's in the community, and that's really important because that gets back to something again that you said. If you see the level coming down really, really very low, I want it to keep going down to a baseline that's so low that there's virtually no threat, or not no, it'll never be zero, but a minimal threat that you will be exposed to someone who is infected. So if you combine getting most of the people in the country vaccinated with getting the level of virus in the community very, very low, then I believe you're going to be able to say, you know, for the most part, we don't necessarily have to wear masks. But if we have a level of virus that is at that level that it was months and months ago, like 20,000 per day is a heck of a lot better than what it's been. But that's still very high level of virus in the community. I want to see it go way down. When it goes way down and the overwhelming majority of the people in the population are vaccinated, then I would feel comfortable in saying, you know, we need to pull back on the masks. We don't need to have masks.
Wow. So your timeline is taking us out a year, maybe 2 years, maybe even longer.
No, I can't say that, Dana, and I don't want it to be said that because then it'll be a soundbite that's not true.
Okay, good.
I'm saying we don't know. We don't know. And you know, the president said it very, very well at the very end of his press conference when he was in Michigan at the Pfizer plant. He said, you know, you ask me to make projections. These are just projections that are estimates. And a lot of things can happen to modify that. And that's the reason why we've got to be careful, because you have variants that you need to deal with. There are so many other things that would make a projection that I give you today on this Sunday wind up not being the case 6 months from now.
Understood. I have to, before I let you go, ask about the grim milestone that the U.S. looks like it's going to reach, 500,000 deaths from this virus. You've been in the trenches on this since the beginning. What's your reaction to this milestone coming up?
It's terrible, Dana. It's really horrible. It's something that is historic. It's nothing like we've ever been through in the last 102 years since the 1918 influenza pandemic. People decades from now, Dana, are going to be talking about this as a terribly historic milestone, you know, in the history of this country, to have these many people to have died from a respiratory-borne infection. It really is a terrible situation that we've been through and that we're still going through. And that's the reason why we keep insisting to continue with the public health measures, because we don't want this to get much worse than it already is.
That is very true. Thank you so much.